Let's start off. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, because I know that kind of comes full circle as to why you're here at Longleaf. But tell me a little bit about your childhood and growing up and kind of what brought you to the theater.
Well, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, youngest of 7 kids. I grew up in public housing, so my imagination played a big part in my young life, imagining the kind of life that I wanted, a life beyond the one that I had. And I got a lot of that through television, variety shows, seeing my favorite performers on the Carol Burnett Show, the Sonny and Cher Hour, Flip Wilson Show. It was huge for me as a young black kid to see somebody who looked like me hosting their own show with so many fans. And so that's kind of where my fantasy started. I was very, very shy, and I loved the sensation of singing, but didn't know that I had a voice that anybody would want to listen to. So I would sing to myself, and none of my family knew that I sang. So I always sang in complete silence in this little storage closet we had. It's the only space I had to myself, and I would go in there and pretend to be Michael Jackson and do my concerts. And then I joined a choir, mainly because I didn't have to audition, so I didn't have to worry about a solo. Was forced to do a solo, and it was one of the most frightening days of my life, just thinking, how am I going to actually share this with the world? I was afraid I was going to be teased about it. It was my little secret.
Do you remember what you sang?
I sang a song called He's Got All Power. My choir teacher said, I'm going to give you the easiest song there is. It just repeats and repeats. I said, okay, and I remember getting up to the microphone, literally trembling and just looking at the ceiling and singing as best I could. And afterwards, this one particular woman in my church who had become a friend of mine, because I had ushered at the church before I joined the choir, she came up to me with this look on her face, and she's like, Alton. And I was like, what? She's like, do you know what you have? Do you know? She's talking about the quality of my voice, and I didn't really understand what she meant, but it was validation of wow, the secret that I have, somebody enjoyed hearing it, and it made her so happy. That was kind of like a big opening for me of wow, if I can tap into this and see this as more of a gift and take the shame off of it, there might be something here, because it's easy for me to do. I love the sensation of it, and it makes people happy. Wow, it was really a gift. And so it kind of started from there, and I went to a performing arts school in my hometown, which saved my life, to really learn to really express myself, especially being a shy kid and youngest of 7, learning how to ask for what I want, learning how to communicate, developing my personality like the arts can do for anyone. Absolutely. Whether you pursue the arts later or not, just learning how to communicate and role play and be flexible in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many life skills in the performing arts.
And the performing arts, yeah, that's why schools like the one I went to, schools like this, I love coming to speak to them, because I want to remind them what a gift this is, and to take full advantage of it while you're here. You don't want to graduate or go away and then realize what a great opportunity you had. You need to know it in the moment.
And those skills they're developing are going to follow them their whole life, no matter if they go into the performing arts or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I love talking to you. I was talking to a woman this morning who used to be a performer, and now she's more on the producing end. I love to talk to creative people about how they transition. Because you may be training to be a dancer, but you may wind up being a choreographer. You may wind up being a stage manager. But having that hands-on experience will give you compassion for the people that you are working with, in addition to the expertise you're bringing to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we can't not talk about The Lion King.
If we have to.
4,038.
308.
4,308.
308
oh, my
performances
word.
as King Mufasa, yeah.
As King Mufasa.
Yeah. What a gift. Talk about a gift.
How do you step into a role like that and then live it, breathe it, perform it day after day for 4,300 shows?
Well, first of all, there's just the gratitude for being a working actor. That was always at the foundation of any job I've done. Wow, I get to do what I love. I get to share my gift, and I get to be compensated for it. That's the ultimate life. To do what you love. They say if you're doing what you love, that you'll never work a day in your life.
Right. And
that's kind of what it was like. And to sustain it, it meant finding a way to tap into nurturing skills, finding balance, because 8 shows a week is extremely challenging, and I had to find a life outside of it, even though there's not a lot of time, but still find other things that are important to me. You know, I discovered that nature was important to me. I discovered that meditation, different kinds of meditation,
right.
Where there's cooking is a meditation for me, hiking, taking a beautiful drive, trees, things that I was already doing, but just by perceiving them as a meditation, helped me to detach from the business, from the show, from the role, and then when I come back to it, I could be reinvigorated. I'd be excited and go, oh wow, I get to do this thing that I love, and that I'm so familiar with, and I'm still finding new things in. Because people always ask how any actor does 8 shows a week. Every show is different.
The energy is different because it's live theater.
It's live, exactly. There's nothing like it. You're working with different people on stage every night. There's a different audience that's giving you a different energy, because it is an exchange of energy between the actors on the stage and the audience. So it also is about what we choose to focus on. I focused on that kind of newness with the safety of the repetition, and that balance kept it fresh for me and kept it different and exciting every time.
So nice. Well, I read that you posted on Facebook right around your last show. You said the universe was guiding you to new ways of sharing your gift and doing service. And I love this idea of you giving back, doing service, coming to schools like Longleaf. So talk to me about that a little bit. What have you been doing since The Lion King, and how did your experience as King Mufasa manifest into what you're doing now? Excellent question.
The really beautiful thing about all the different things I'm doing now is that I didn't have to change careers. It's kind of an expansion of what I was already doing, which feels really wonderful. So it's not like I'm starting all over. It's like I'm able to really take this great foundation in theater, especially in The Lion King, and kind of branch off from there. It's been a springboard. And to me, all of it is service. That's one of the reasons why I could do the show for so long, is that, and service doesn't mean that I'm at the mercy of anything.
Of course
it
not.
means that I'm offering my gift of service to whatever I choose to commit to. And it doesn't mean that I have to suffer for it or be denied. I can be paid very well and have a great life doing service.
Right.
And all those things, focusing on the positives of that, as opposed to, I have to go to work. There's one thing that's like, no, I get to go and do what I love. I get to share and do my service. Now, the service now has expanded to, since I left Lion King, I still have a great relationship with Disney. They published my book, which came out in November. Disney My Way. That's my Disney CD. It's Disney My Way.
Disney My Way CD.
Yeah, which I did.
I heard a clip from it on your website.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I might just have one in my bag for you. You never know. You never know what Santa, never know what Mufasa may bring you.
Oh, Lion King's one of my faves.
Yes. But like that, they published my book, My Pride. Right after I gave my notice, I was slated to go to over 15 countries for Disney. I do cruises for them where I go and do my Disney My Way show. I'll go out for 2 weeks. I do 2 performances the entire 2 weeks, and the rest of the time I'm seeing the world and going on these amazing excursions. I do concerts for them. We're going to be doing the Boston Pops just next in about 3 weeks with 3 other Disney singers. I have branched out into TV and film, which is what I wanted to do. I've done 5 episodics in the past year. I've done 4 films in the past year. So I'm able to do different kinds of service and in turn tap into different parts of me that I want to share.
I love that.
So yeah, it's been really, and that service thing has really, really shifted everything for me, because had I not had service, or my concept of service, it would be like, okay, now I've got to start all over again. I'm the new kid on the block with TV and film. But it's like, no, it's still me, and I'm going to tap into different parts of me. I don't have to start all over.
It's a building block.
Exactly. But if we don't perceive it that way, if we perceive it as starting over, then we automatically put ourselves back at the bottom. As opposed to, no, I'm going to work from here. I'm going to work from this already great place, which is so much more attractive and so much lighter. And people want to be a part of that, as opposed to like, I've got to climb back up and hope somebody will,
recognize
me while I'm climbing. Right. It's it's what we tell ourselves. It's very important.
So I read around your 4,000th show, there was a big, celebration, and people kept saying to you, you're so lucky, 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 lucky. And you kind of thought about that luckiness, and that kind of led you to write the book.
Yes,
so talk to me about that.
If one more person told me how lucky I was just like, I don't know what I was going to do.
You're going to scream.
I was going to scream. Because I don't believe in luck. Luck leaves you at the mercy automatically. Hope I'm lucky. Luck discounts any kind of skill, sacrifice, discipline, which is work, commitment, which is what it takes to be successful at anything. So, as therapy for myself, I started writing. Like, what have I sacrificed for my passion? To do 8 shows a week for over 20 years. Gratefully on Broadway and regionally, but like I've had a really, really beautiful career. And people tend to focus on those things because, when it holds up the mirror to them and, their own work ethic or whatever, sometimes it's tough.
Right. Well, and it's the finished product. It's easy to look at you and say, wow, he's so successful. He's Mufasa in Lion King, but we didn't see all the blood, sweat, and tears that worked into...
To getting the role and maintaining the role and then thriving through it.
Right.
And having to tap into different tools. So I started writing out, what I'd experienced and, sacrificing relationships and time with family and nephews and nieces growing up and my parents getting older and, me not having any family in New York, and going, And every year before contract time, and I never ever took for granted that Disney would automatically renew me, which kept me on my toes of like, all I have to show for when they offer, if they offer another contract, is my work ethic. Right. And also for me to go, in order to stay, I like this. You can only ask for something more if you've proven that you're worth it.
Absolutely.
By being consistent. So I would go through all the checklist, and it was great to kind of look and go, this is what I've sacrificed, and this is my life, this is what I've done. It gave me a different sense of pride. And one of the reasons why I named my book My Pride is because there's no greater feeling than self-validation, than knowing that you've done your best, despite how anybody else may perceive it. You know that you've done your very best, and to reward yourself for that, not give over to the other person's opinion of like, well, it may not be good enough for them.
Right.
That's them, but you know that you have done your best, and you should be proud of that. I started writing because I needed to remember my story. I needed to remember how I got from this shy kid in the projects who was afraid to sing in front of anybody to 6 Broadway shows, like to really remember. And it's tough. It's challenging for artists because we live so many lifetimes in one life. Every cast, every show is a family.
It's different.
That you get to meet and you get close, and then the show closes, and then you have to go through the mourning of like missing them, and then you go into another family. So it's kind of all bleeds in. Right. But I got to remember the details of how I got from that point to here, which gave me a whole other sense of pride, professional and personally. And then to get the opportunity to share it, Disney said, I think we might want to publish this, which was a wonderful surprise. But what was really great is that I was already doing it for myself, because service starts with how we treat ourselves, how we nurture ourselves, and then you share it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wow, and Disney published it in conjunction with like the 20th anniversary of The Lion King.
I was just like, wow. I mean, it's just such a gift. It's like so many times when in life, you hopefully we're all doing the best we can, right. Even if somebody else disagrees with it. We're doing the best we can, but to have it validated in that way and to not expect it.
Right.
Like even with my 4,000th performance, I didn't expect Disney to celebrate. I said, this is my milestone. But it was a great surprise that they did.
Jumped on it.
Yeah. But as soon as you start expecting, that's when you forget that it's a gift.
Well, and when you feel that entitlement, you get lazy.
Yeah.
Talking about luck, you also talk about rejection. And, you know, here we are at a performing arts school, and while I hope they all get the parts they want, you know, there's a lot of rejection in your business, but there's a lot of rejection in life as well.
Yes.
And you talked about in one of the articles I read how rejection is character building,
Yes,
live on stage.
It is.
Tell me.
It is, because it's unavoidable, first of all. You know, there is no way, you can't tell your child you will never fail. You will never not be approved of. It's just not realistic. So, but it doesn't have to be the end of the road. It doesn't have to be the end of your life. It doesn't have to be devastating. It can hurt your feelings, and your feelings will heal, and then you get back up, and you keep moving forward.
Well, and don't you think that rejection, failure, again, are kind of building blocks to the next success? You can't really be successful without having some.
You can't. I mean, and I always like to tell kids, and this is something my mother always told me, you know, there will be times as a human being that you will feel like that you're the only person that believes in you. And that has to be enough. It's going to have to be enough. And it's like multiplied in the business. You know, when you've done certain kinds of work that you're proud of, and you go audition for something that you feel like this is going to be a no-brainer, and you don't even get a call back. It's like, oh, wow. And also, it's not personal.
Right.
Most times rejection is not personal. It's like you don't fit the part, or you may be overqualified, or you may be great but just not great for this. And I like to tell kids, especially pursuing the arts, or even if they're not pursuing the arts, even going on a simple interview, you know, think of it, don't put all the focus on getting the job. Put most of the focus on representing yourself well. Because there's so many times you go in for one thing, and the person's going, I'm hearing you. But you know, you're not right for this, but you'd be great for this other thing. So if you go in there like, this is who I am, like representing your brand well, that would seem like a rejection may turn into a promotion that you didn't even expect.
An opportunity.
An opportunity, yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's really about what we do with that rejection. What do you do after? You know, do you lay down? Do you give up? Or do you go, okay, that hurt my feelings. Let me flush it. Let me cry. Let me do whatever I need to do to process that. And then get back to like, okay, what can I learn from that? Did I represent myself well? Did I make myself proud of myself? That's the ultimate.
Were you being your authentic self?
Yeah.
If you're not authentic, then an interviewer and someone you're auditioning for, they can see right through that.
And then even if they do hire you and that's not the real you,
it's
then
going to come
the
out
job
pretty
is
fast.
you're doing two jobs.
In your book, you talk about delivering a message of service and taking responsibility, and I'm going to just quote this right from you. Your website, deriving happiness from commonplace achievements. What are commonplace achievements, and how can, not just in the performing arts, but in all our lives, in everyday life, find that happiness? And
I say one of the main things I think to do that, main ways to do that is to celebrate the small victories. You know, there's wonderful things happening every day that we just kind of gloss over. You know, that meeting that you planned. Or like even with this, I mean, say it wasn't me. Say it was one of my counterparts, one of my good buddies from Broadway. You normally do these over the phone, right?
Right.
And like, wow, here you have one in the flesh.
Oh,
We're having a real face-to-face conversation. Yeah, but you can see this like, okay, yeah, but you can also go, well, I'm going to celebrate that. Well, something I normally do, I get to do differently this time, in a more personal way.
Absolutely.
You know, that's a victory. And I think acknowledging them, finding a way to, what's the word I'm looking for? Ritualize. That's why I think rituals are really important. To go, yeah, like after this, you may go, well, it's lunchtime when we finish this. I'm going to have lunch, but I'm going to have this tuna sandwich in honor of this new experience I had today. And then the more you start doing that, then your days get better. And you start going, wow, there's great things happening. It's about
being present,
being aware, being mindful. So those what seem like ordinary things can become extraordinary things if you perceive them differently. Celebrating those, you know, and most of life, you know, and this is a hard thing for many creative people to grasp. Most of life is not tragic or dramatic, or tragic or fabulous. You know what I mean? Most of life is very ordinary, it's very gray, and it's about finding the color in the gray.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? Are you going to go back to Broadway? I know you mentioned Austin Pops, which is
yeah,
fabulous.
I'm doing the Austin Pops in a couple of weeks.
Movies?
Yeah, TV. I just did a great episode of Bull that aired a few weeks ago. I just shot an episode of Elementary, which should be airing sometime in the next few weeks. I just shot a film with Nicole Kidman. Where I had scenes with her called The Goldfinch. It's based on the best-selling book. I think the book won the Pulitzer a couple of years ago. So I'm in loving having those experiences, and I'm loving being the new guy and coming in. And I feel like I'm at a good age to really, really kind of play the kind of parts I'm being cast for. I do lots of voiceovers. I just did my second voiceover for the History Channel.
Oh, nice.
Something called The God Code that just premiered last Sunday. It was cool because I was home with my mom. I was home with my family watching it, which was very, very cool. Yeah, more concerts coming, more things with Disney. I'm just loving being a gypsy again, and something that I talk a lot about with creative people is, finances. I prepared to be a gypsy again. All those years of doing Lion King, about 5 years before, when I started feeling like, I kind of feel like something new is coming. I don't know what, but let me prepare, let me be mindful. And I put money away for whenever it's time to leave the Lion King fund, so that when I do decide to be a gypsy and I want to express myself in TV and film and not sing as a character but sing as Alton, I want to be able to do that creatively and not have to worry about money. And so I set myself up that way, and now I'm doing better in many ways, even financially, than I was when I was doing 8 shows a week, because I set myself up for it.
You're prepared.
Yeah, and there's nothing like preparation in any field. You need the peace of mind to tap into different parts of yourself. You can't do that and be desperate at the same time.
Of course.
Yeah, that's not going to be creative. There's going to be things you have to do.
So you mentioned you watched the History Channel piece with your mom.
Yeah.
So how's she? I mean, this is a total. You went from singing in the closet because you were embarrassed.
I'm so blessed. My mother tells me daily how proud of me she is.
So nice.
Being the youngest of 7, being, I was a kid when in my neighborhood, not a lot seemed to be expected of me. My father was an alcoholic, and alcohol just wreaked havoc in our family, and my father was an incredible person, but the disease is what it is. And me being the only boy, people just kind of like, oh, you're just going to be like your father. And I'm grateful that I was able to use my father as an example of what I didn't want to do with my life. And my mother, I know, she tells me that there were times like I just didn't know. I did the best I could to parent you, and I just hoped. And she goes, I am so proud of you, Alton. I'm so proud of the man that you've become, and nothing means more to me than that. I mean, her pride in me is actually greater than my pride in myself.
Oh, how! But that's a gift too.
Yeah, it is a gift.
And it's fabulous that she's still around to see.
Oh man,
to see it.
Like when I first started really traveling, I said anywhere you want to come, you have a ticket waiting. So my mother, one of my best memories is like when I did Smokey Joe's Cafe, original London company, and my mother, she escaped through TV and reading when she was a young girl. So we have that in common. My mother really is one of my soulmates. And I said, would you like to come to London for Thanksgiving? And I remember getting her ticket, and I remember I didn't sleep the whole night thinking, my mom is on a plane. She's going to be here in London with me. And she got there, and we did the double-decker bus tour. We did, she spent the whole day crying, going, Alton, these are places I've just read about for so many years I never thought I'd see. And now she's been everywhere. So my sisters, my mother goes to Hawaii every year for 3 weeks. I mean, it's really a miraculous thing to think about where my family started and where we came from. And my mother and my father always said, it's not just about where you come from, it's about where you want to get to. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. And it's really cool to see that my whole family's taking advantage of it.
You did.
Yeah.